Imagine yourself in a chilly gym in Durham, North Carolina. In December 2025, the flags of previous Olympic success dangle from the rafters like silent judges. Perfect stacks of red, white, and blue jerseys are folded, awaiting the select few to claim them. The scent of ambition, hairspray, and the subtle metallic taste of fresh fabric. Caitlin Clark stands in the middle of the room, her hair swinging like a battle, her hoodie zipped high. Flagged T last, she has arrived. The invitation that she so much wanted but had already been turned down. The cameras are not in motion. Everyone in that locker room understands that history is about to get messy, even though phones are meant to be off. A member of the Team USA staff advances while carrying two jerseys. One is flawless, unspoiled, and renowned. The other is. The staff member grinned tightly at the number 17, which meant nothing at all to the girl who converted 22 into a religion. Caitlin, we've practiced the smile of someone breaking bad news. They've been instructed to dress up as regular. Given you the number 17 for the camp custom. You are aware that seniority on the national team is revered. The room becomes silent. A bracelet drop was audible. Caitlin doesn't yell. The jersey is not thrown by her. She merely glances at the number, then at the employee, and last at the head coach, who was 10 feet away and had his arms folded like a gatekeeper of Olympus. And in the most composed tone you've ever heard from a 23-year-old who was recently stripped in public of who she was, she utters the four words that have the potential to completely destroy the power structure, start shining beneath benches when they should be off. Did she just? Someone murmurs. A different, younger voice proudly responds, yes, she did. Because 2 digits on polyester is not the issue here. This relates to all the girls who were ever instructed to wait her time, shrink, and smile courteously. The gatekeepers determine which aspects of her are allowed entry. Not only is number 22 Caitlin Clark's brand, but it's also the battle cry of a generation that has finally realized how to refuse. And Caitlin Clark didn't simply turn down the coaches in that frozen moment, when their faces turned the color of storm clouds. Every invisible rule that ever attempted to define who she may be was rejected by a jersey. The employee falters. The head coach comes on stage, prepared to remind everyone who still believes they are in charge of this sport. However, something has already changed. Within the space. Something unstoppable, something electric. Because the girl they attempted to humiliate simply created a permanent line. Ink across women's basketball's whole future. And the world outside those gym doors will soon discover just how. What happens if you tell Caitlin Clark that she's not allowed to be herself? You must comprehend the true nature of this camp. It's not simply another practice in December. After the heartbreaking 2025 Olympics, this is the first formal meeting. The one in which the most popular player in women's basketball history, Caitlin Clark, was inexplicably left off the lineup, even though millions of people watched the games with the hopes of seeing her, shattering viewership records in the process. Finally, 6 months later, the invitation arrived. Silent, late, almost like an afterthought. And each and every lady in that. The subtext is known to the Durham facility. This is the opportunity to bring the prodigy home, the redemption tour. The old guard was meant to embrace the future at that moment. However, the future just entered with a smile that could fill arenas and street clothing. The ancient guard welcomed her with a folded number 17, as if it were a participation trophy in just 7 seconds. This isn't a drowsy training camp. This serves as the 2026 FIBA World Cup runway and the testing ground for who receives. To wear the USA over their chest in front of the entire world. New television revenue in the billions. Are on the lawn, last sponsorships. Every brand on the planet is pleading with you to treat the women's game like the powerhouse it has become. For a single player, a single number, a single silhouette that causes young ladies in every zip code to scream till their throats burst. 22 is that silhouette. Caitlin is the one who screamed, but here we are, watching strong grown-ups warm up. Determined that the most well-known brand in American sports needs to change its name upon arrival because custom. Due to seniority. Due to an unwritten law that states the throne must remain unoccupied until the queens are wearing. Your ability to sit is determined by crowns. Olympic gold is no longer the only prize up for grabs. They are culturally. They span generations. They concern if women's basketball will eventually be able to retain the talents it produces, or if the gatekeepers who kept the stadia empty for decades are allowed to continue cutting wings as soon as they get too bright. Tea is palpable in the space. The younger players' refusal to make eye contact with the employee. Veterans shift their weight as if they were on dope ice. Everyone is aware of what occurs when Caitlyn walks. The ratings fall precipitously. The new admirers disappear. The revolution that filled 20,000 seats. Before it even starts, structures and highlight reels are transformed into TikTok faiths. Everyone is also aware of what will happen if she continues to swallow this. The message is harsh and immediate. No matter how many records you break, no matter how many immigrant, black, and brown daughters you have, because you gave them a sense of belonging, you tattooed your number on their arms. The moment you enter the hallowed circle, kneeling is still required. Caitlin Clark doesn't bow down. With her hoodie sleeves pushed up, she stands there. She was staring at a piece of cloth that was meant to be her coronation, the scars from the wars from the previous season still apparent on her arms. Robe and is currently a flag of surrender. And with every phone in the building surreptitiously filming at that precise moment. With her entire future at stake, she must make a decision that will either permanently crown her or banish her from the only squad. Thing is meant to stand in for all of us. She gives the head coach, the staff member, and the quiet room her full attention. It declares the phrase that just rebuilt the power script more quickly than any Logo 3 could. Please provide me your phone number. Or I've left. Vanished, as if someone had turned off the world. The air exits the gym. And someplace beyond those doors. America will soon learn that the girl they attempted to dehumanize is the one with a match that will ignite the entire old playbook to the floor. Let's take a closer look at the true antagonists in this tale. Because architects are employed by every empire that attempts to stifle the rising light, and those architects wear championship rings and clipboards that resemble armor. The elderly guard is seated at the head of the table. Women who gave their lives for this initiative. When the payments bounced and the gyms were deserted. Without a doubt, they deserved their bouquets. Gold medals arranged like a poker stack. See, Hall of Fame coats, the authority to use that soothing, intimidating voice that makes beginners cringe. They are legendary. And legends, sweetheart, can be the most destructive individuals on the planet when a fresh author begins penning longer chapters. Cheryl Reeve smirks and cuts the sharpest silhouette eyes that have looked down entire dynasties. 3 steps ahead, committee members are whispering the same worn-out mantra: we don't do individual brands here. Translate for the USA: once you enter our door, we determine what your name can signify. That hymn has been sung by them for many years, and it was effective while the sport was manageable. However, the sport has grown in size. It became a continent thanks to Caitlyn, because continents don't fit inside the previous boundaries. Observe their movements. Observe the quiet talks held in offices where the chemistry of the locker room turns into a code to maintain the hierarchy. Undamaged. When Caitlyn's name initially appeared on ESPN, see how they froze. The ticker records their smile for cameras while secretly testing out how much light one white Iowa girl could bear. They built it for 20 years without overshadowing the SUN. Oh, you recall the Olympic roster rejection. It wasn't a mistake. That shot served as a warning, a loudest message. Silence in the history of women's basketball. You are able to beat all records, sell every ticket, and make billionaires richer than ever. However, after you enter our home, you continue to wait your turn, just like all previous black and brown pioneers. You had to wait for theirs. The audience, however, rebelled this time. Sponsors rebelled. Young girls with hair braids and new Sharpies rebelled. It was too late for the old guard to recognize that the game had outgrown their hold, so they reluctantly and strategically extended the offer, with the covert intention of softening the edges the moment she entered. Dim the brand and take the number. Remind her that the W may be ruled by 22. That is not what I'm wearing. Like a wave, gasps Ripple, and fact, a veteran in the corner spills her coffee. Phones that were unquestionably supported.